Welcome to iTALK iJAG. I'm your host today, Elena Wilson. I'm the Vice President of Social Awareness at Wilson Middle School iJAG. Today I'm interviewing our guest, Alycia Noble.
Hi, happy to be here.
Can you share with us your job title and introduce your career to us?
Yeah. So I work as a project manager and building engineer at a small engineering firm in Omaha, Nebraska called Energy Studio. At Energy Studio, we specialize in energy modeling. And so what we do is we consult with building owners, architects, and design engineers to help them make energy efficiency choices for new construction or renovation buildings. The goal is to help them reduce their energy use to save them money on utilities and to reduce their carbon footprint.
Interesting. Okay, so what schooling or training do you need to require your job position?
Yeah. So almost any engineer is going to require a college degree. So I got my bachelor's in architectural engineering and master's in architectural engineering at through the University of Nebraska Lincoln, but I went to school on the Omaha campus. And so my degree is in architectural engineering, which is kind of a specialized type of engineering that only focuses on buildings. So buildings and specifically the inside of buildings. For architectural engineering, when you go through the program, you get a couple years of education on basic construction and a ton of math and some sciences. But then as you progress through the program, you choose to specialize in either structural engineering, electrical, or mechanical. And so someone who chooses to specialize in structural is going to focus on the bones of the building, design a building so that it doesn't fall down. It's going to hold up the walls and the windows and anything cool and fun about the building. If you choose to specialize in electrical, you're going to learn how to design everything that is needed to power the inside of a building. So getting power to the into the building, making sure that the lights and all of the IT equipment have enough power and energy for people to use the building how they want. And then if you choose to specialize in mechanical, you're going to be responsible or learn about designing the heating and air conditioning, but then you're also going to be responsible for making sure that there's enough fresh air in all of the spaces and responsible for making sure that any sort of dangerous gases or smelly gases are exhausted outside of the building. So that's kind of the background of the education for architectural engineering. I selected mechanical and I ended up working for my boss, and we specialize in energy modeling. So because the mechanical systems of a building use the most energy, someone who specialized in mechanical is kind of well suited to help other people make energy efficiency choices.
Is there any additional training you did after you got hired for your job position?
So not necessarily. Usually, so in school you learn about all of the theoretical things. And you get a little bit of hands-on training on how to do the things you're going to do. But once you get hired, your employer is going to teach you the actual things that you're going to do day to day.
I'm interested you have at our age to help you and get this career path.
I think what's helped me become a fairly successful engineer is curiosity, wanting to know how things work, asking a ton of questions, asking all of the questions, um, asking so many questions that people get annoyed with your questions. It really does help you understand kind of how the world works and how things go together. And the more you can understand that, the more you can problem solve. And it's just a lot more interesting. It's a lot more fun. So I'd say curiosity is really helpful. Also, if you know or understand or are interested in how things go together, taking things apart, putting them together. If you enjoy building IKEA furniture, I think you might be a good engineer. It's something you should look into.
What kind of things does someone need to be good and successful at your position?
Yeah. So there's curiosity, but then once you're actually in the engineering job, I think one of the biggest things is going to be being detail oriented, noticing the small things and being able to document and organize that. So much of my job is just documenting what I see, documenting what I've observed, documenting the questions that I have, documenting the answers that I found, organizing that, and then presenting it to someone so that they can make a decision. Um, it's essentially, yeah, asking and answering questions, and someone pays you to do it. and it's great.
What inspires you to keep doing what you're doing every day?
What inspires me? I like my job. I like going to work. I like my coworkers. There is a part of my job that is helping with like climate change. We are trying to help buildings and people who own and operate buildings use less energy. If you use less energy, you pay less money. But then also, if you use less energy, you put less carbon into the atmosphere and slowing down climate change. I don't work a ton on, I don't get the opportunity to do much like groundbreaking technology. I'm not out there finding the solution to climate change, but I have an opportunity to advocate for people to make choices that make their buildings more energy efficient, which helps and feels good. But that's probably not why I wake up and go to work every day. I wake up and go to work because it pays for my life and I get to do the things that I want and I have a good work life balance and I like my coworkers and it's interesting and that's probably what motivates me every day.
What leadership skills do you feel like you possess?
Leadership skills. I think one of the things that I have learned, it's something that I had before I went into engineering and had this job, but I've definitely honed it, is focusing on solutions and not blame. When you work on a team, really the goal is for everyone needs to be working towards the same goal. And if people aren't working towards the same goal, it doesn't help to point at someone and say, hey, you didn't do the thing. If you stop, ask them how we got to where we were, if you approach it from a problem solving perspective, then people get less defensive and are more they're more willing to help you solve the problem. If you focus on blame, people kind of shut down and they start pointing back at you and then nothing happens. So if there's an issue, try and give people the benefit of the doubt and focus on not necessarily who did what wrong, but what went wrong and how are you going to make sure it doesn't happen again in the future. I think that helps a lot.
Who is someone that you looked up to or still look up to for their leadership qualities?
I was thinking about this the other night. So I think there's two people. My boss, Amanda. So I work for a small engineering firm, and it's a women-owned engineering firm. And women do not make up very many, a large percentage of engineers. I think the percentages are around 20%. Compared to 80% men in engineering. So for her to 13, 14 years ago have gone off by herself and started her own engineering firm that she's ran successfully. She now employs 8 people full time and she supports their lifestyles and their living and their families with the job opportunities she provided. That, like, the older I get, the more I realize how big of a feat that was. And I really admire her and her work ethic. She's also taught me to prioritize relationships. Almost in our industry, relationships are key. If you make people feel like they are heard and you are giving them what they're asking for and you're working with them, they're much more likely to come back to you. If you even just have a bad relationship with someone one time, that word of mouth can go for a long time and it can hurt you down the road in multiple ways that you can't see. So prioritizing relationships, and then pretty much just if you promise something, do it. Do it to a quality standard, and give it to them on time. And if you do those two things, really, you can get really far in life. And then someone else that I look up to and have learned leadership skills is my mom. That's also another one that the older I get, the more I realize.
What is one piece of advice for people my age that you wish you knew growing up?
That's a good question. I think keep your mind open. That sounds so silly. Not uh essentially, like, don't say no to anything on the first date, right? Think about it for a couple days. Think about what that could look like. Consider like going to try it. It doesn't hurt to go try things. It doesn't hurt to investigate stuff. You might be surprised and you might like it. Um, I got my job because I taught swim lessons to children and I taught my boss's children how to swim. And I took advantage of the opportunity when it showed up. And if I look back at my life, so many of the good things that have happened are just that I recognized an opportunity and I said yes. So I would say that if keep your eyes open, look for opportunities, and when you see it, be ready to say yes. Because you can say no again in the future. If you decide it was a mistake, you can say it was a mistake, but don't say no and then regret it later.
So I hear you play football. Can you tell us more about that?
I do play football. I started playing football last year, and it is the most fun I have ever had. If you get a chance to play football, football's fantastic. It's really fun. It's a fun team sport. We did go and we won the D2 national championship last year. I have found so many friends. It's a lot more fun to stay healthy and eat healthy and work out if you have something to do it for. Nebraska's and Iowa's a good state to play volleyball.
Thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your day. We really enjoyed having you here.
Awesome. I enjoyed it. Thanks for asking great questions.
I'm Alycia Wilson.
And I'm Alycia Noble.
This is iTALK iJAG signing off.
That was cool.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna mess with the lighting just a tiny bit.
He started.
I started it just so I can edit out what I do.